Over the weekend, voting rights groups gathered in Alabama for a national day of action called All Roads Lead to the South, protesting Republican congressional redistricting throughout the South. On Saturday, thousands gathered in Selma, Alabama for a prayer service at Tabernacle Baptist Church before a silent walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the site of the 1965 Bloody Sunday attack when Alabama state troopers beat peaceful marchers in scenes that shocked the nation and helped lead to the passage of the Voting Rights Act. Thousands gathered in Montgomery outside the Alabama state capitol, the same place where the 1965 Voting Rights March ended 61 years ago.
The thing that got me the other day was my aunt, who participated as a foot soldier, said, and she was in pain. And she said, Clyde, why in the world do they hate us so much? Because she participated in all those marches. And it just sort of hurt my heart to hear her say that at 92 years old.
There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope. And our people have strong resolve. After 400 years of slavery, they still said, you know what, guys, we'll be getting out of this. So in the same vein, we'll be getting out of this. This is not the way things are not the way they will always be.
Alabama Democratic Congresswoman Terri Sewell, who will join us in a moment, is the first black woman ever elected to Congress in Alabama. Last week on the House floor, she said this.
For me, this fight is personal. I grew up in Selma in the shadow of the civil rights movement. People in my district bled for the right to vote. Some died for it. And now, 6 decades later, extremists are trying to drag this country backwards. They are trying to erase our hard-fought progress and silence the voices of the very communities that marched, that sacrificed, that organized to make America democracy real for everyone.
Joining us now is Democratic Congresswoman Terri Sewell of Alabama. She's a member of the powerful House Ways and Means Committee and the House Administration Committee, where she's the top Democrat on the Elections Subcommittee. Congresswoman, that Elections Subcommittee now has a focus that has not been, it seems as though it hasn't been necessary for a while.
No, you're right. The subcommittee currently run by my Republican colleagues are trying to pass something called a SAVE Act, which doesn't do anything to save American democracy or to promote better elections. But hope springs eternal. If we take back the House, I will get a gavel and I will make sure that we pass the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Of course, we have to reform it to make sure that we deal with this partisan gerrymandering that the Calais Supreme Court ruled was okay. I mean, to say that it's okay to draw maps based on partisan politics, even if it causes racial intimidation or racial discrimination in voting, seems totally against precedent that this court has set for 61 years. Tomorrow, voters in my district will go to the polls and vote in a primary where 4 elections, including the election for my seat, will not count. Those votes will not count because the state of Alabama has set a new primary date for August 11th. And they're doing so because the Supreme Court vacated an order that the state of Alabama had agreed to keep the current map until 2030. And all of that just went out the window. I have to tell you, Lawrence, that it saddens me. I'm deeply frustrated. I know that the folks that I represent feel helpless. But you know what? We've overcome far worse obstacles. Our ancestors were met on that bridge with billy clubs, children in Birmingham, fire hoses, intimidation. But they still persisted, and we must too.
What do you say to voters and people who ask that question that Clyde Thomas's aunt asked it? We just heard him say, he was the protester there who quoted his 92-year-old aunt saying to him, "Why in the world do they hate us so much?"
Well, I mean, I think the fact of the matter is that progress is elusive and old battles have become new again. And I think that because of that, we have to do everything we can to mobilize and organize. Everyone has a role in this democracy. And those of us who are elected must legislate, which is why I think it's really important to reintroduce and reform the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And citizens must organize and mobilize and get to the polls and vote. And they need to vote like their lives depend upon it, because we know that it does. And I think it's so important that we remember what John Lewis said. He said, our fight was not a fight of one day, of 1 year, of one lifetime. Ours is a fight to the very end. And I think that that grandmother, that aunt, her sentiments really reflect the fact that no matter how many steps we make in progress forward, it seems to be elements, extremist elements want to take us back. And we have to do everything we can because we're not going back, Lawrence. We're not going back.
I want to listen to what Candace Howard said. She's a teacher in Selma, Alabama. Let's listen to what she had to say.
We can't allow that to happen again. We can't allow our voices to disappear. We can't allow our voices to be silent. We have to stand up, and that's why I am in love that we're seeing these people come out here to stand up for the exact same thing that people died for. They literally died in 1965. So now, today, I don't expect to die. I expect for us to rise and for us to stand up for what's right.
There's something about Selma, and there's something about the spirit there of rising to this kind of moment, as Selma has done in the past.
Absolutely. I'm a proud daughter of Selma. I attended Selma High School where that teacher teaches now. I think it's important. The gathering on Saturday was inspirational. You know, it wasn't about a protest. It was about creating a movement, a call to action. As she said, it's important that we make sure that we uphold the legacy, that very proud legacy of not giving in, of not giving up, of doing everything we can to fight back. And, you know, it was ordinary people of Selma, ordinary young John Lewis, who was 26 years old, who achieved extraordinary social change by just standing up and doing what is right. And John's voice still is in my head. I remember John on that bridge his last time. It was in 2020, right before he passed away, and his body was riddled with cancer, but his voice was strong. And he said, never give up, never give in. We have to keep the faith and keep our eyes on the prize. And people come back to Selma year after year after year. And this time it was really symbolic that we began the day in church, because it was the Black church where mass meetings were held. It was a Black church where it was a clarion call for moral clarity. So it was really important that we do that. And so I hope that people don't give up. I think that we can be mad, but we can't be deterred.
Congresswoman Terri Sewell, thank you very much for joining us tonight.